In 1986, there were plenty of great movies to choose from to watch at the local movie theater. Let's do a roll call. Howard the Duck, Labyrinth, Karate Kid Part 2, Back to School, Aliens, Maximum Overdrive, Top Gun, Ferris Bueller's Days Off, Ruthless People, and even My Little Pony the movie.
Winter is over for good.
But there was one specific movie at that time that outshined all of those prospects, and that was The Flight of the Navigator. That movie actually still exists today, obviously. It's available on Disney Plus right here on my phone if I wanted to watch it again. But that's not what really got me into the movie. What got me into the movie was the movie watching experience, where I saw the movie for the first time. And as a resident of Montreal's West Island in the 1980s, there was only 2 places where I could have gone to see it at that time. And both places no longer exist. In fact, you'd never know that these places did exist had you not known that they did exist. You following me so far? So it got me thinking about the importance of the movie experience and where people had these experiences here in the West Island over the course of 60 years of movie watching experiences. So let's go back to what I consider the first movie house here in the West Island. What I consider to be the first movie house, though not a dedicated movie house, but rather a place where they showed movies often, was the old Vawa Country Club. From its opening in the summer of 1921, moving pictures were advertised as the main attraction, starting at once a week and as they became more popular, 3 nights a week. By 1930, the then famous innovative talkies were well welcomed by the country club by their installation of what they called the latest type of talkie apparatus. I'm assuming just different speakers. This carried on with advertisements in the local newspaper until its unfortunate blazing demise in the early 1940s. It burnt down. However, then, in 1948, Maurice Arpin of Pointe-Claire built a fully dedicated movie house in Pointe-Claire Village. Other than the old Rex Theatre, further west in the more developed Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue, this theater was the first movie house and a dream come true for its residents at that time in Pointe-Claire and the surrounding areas. In Maurice Arpin's opening speech, he said, "We have tried to give Pointe-Claire a modern theater and hope to have answered the wish of the population." An interesting note about Mr. Arpin's speech, however, was as he was explaining how some of the parts of the theater weren't finished yet, it's because of some of the materials were still scarce due to the Second World War, just finishing barely 2 years ago, just to give you a sense of time of what was happening and when this was. This is barely after the Second World War. Since the theater was located in the small French town within a largely populated growing English population, Mondays and Thursdays were for French films and all the other days of the week were for both British and American films, as they called it back then. The guests couldn't be more excited to be in an actual movie house right there in their community. One woman told the reporter of the local newspaper that she hadn't been in a movie house in 30 years. The opening day event was noted as an important event in the history of Pointe-Claire. That night, they showed its first movie, 3 Little Girls in Blue, a movie that was already 2 years old by that point. You see, the Pointe-Claire Theater was the first dedicated movie house in Pointe-Claire, though it was not the first movie house to show current films. That would only come 20 years later.